Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to today's edition of Soccer Hub Talks. My name is Ricardo Albeida. I'm the CEO and founder of Soccer Hub. As you know, Soccer Hub delivers a lot of content for soccer coaches, soccer analysts, soccer scouts. So just visit us and get to know what kind of content do we offer. As you know, this is live interview, so you will be able to questions on the chat box. So please do it, write the questions, and will address them to our speakers of today, Pedro Bouças. First, before we start, I would like you to ask you to introduce on the chat box the country where are you based in, and also what kind of job do you have, if you are a scout, an analyst, a coach. Well, please introduce that information on the chat box because it's going to help us out during our conversation. So today, Pedro Bouças has a degree in physical education and sport with specialization in soccer. He coached the women's football team of Clube Futebol Benfica, where he won a Super Cup, 2 Portuguese Cups, and 2 national championships. He was also the coordinator of the club's youth department. To his coaching career, he also joins the blogger activity, being the creator of the blog Lateral Esquerdo. He's currently a commentator on the TV channel of the Portuguese Football Federation, and he cooperates with the company Stellar Group. So today we will be discussing why the success of the Portuguese football coaches. We will focus on the current success of Jorge Jesus at Flamengo. So at the moment, I'm going to invite Pedro Bouças to get into our conversation so we can start right away and talking about this different subject. So here we have Pedro. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for your time. So we're going to discuss several issues about coaching and about the Portuguese coaches. But before that, I would like to present yourself to our community. So I would ask you please to talk a bit more about yourself and how did you become a soccer coach, Pedro?
Okay, so I always have had this passion about football. When I was a kid, a youngster, I played football at an amateur level. I think I wouldn't ever reach a professional, but the thing that happens was that I had an injury and I had to quit playing when I was very young. So at that time, I knew I had to be something in this game. So I try, since very young, I try to develop a lot of coaching skills because I wouldn't be a football player. So I went to the sports university where I had several teachers who at the time they were training the Portuguese national teams, the under 19s, under 17s. So I learned a lot with them. I actually remember seeing Cristiano Ronaldo in a training session when he was under 17 for the Portuguese national teams, because his coach was our teacher in the sports university. So I think it's everything about the passion, and because I couldn't be a football player, I became a football coach.
Okay, Pedro, thank you very much. About your blog, Lateral Esquerdo, why did you decide to create it, and what is the main goal of this blog, Lateral Esquerdo, Pedro?
Well, the blog was created 10 years ago. Okay, at that time, the tactical side of the football wasn't so much developed as it is now, and at that time, I wanted to prove that although football is played with your feet, it has a lot of brain involved in the football match. So the blog comes for me to explain my own ideas about the game, to prove the importance of the tactics in the football game, and of course to prove that there's a lot of brain and you need to be smart to be a football player, not just have a good physically.
It's not only good feats. They usually said and have some friends that says that the good player is from the neck up, not on the neck down. So I believe in that also. Okay, so about the subject that bring us here tonight, what is the characteristic that you believe that is more important in today's coaches so they can be successful? What kind of skill, what kind of behaviors do you believe that is most important in today's coaches, Pedro?
I think there are three things that you have to have, and if you don't, you probably won't be a good coach. The first of all is to have good ideas for your team, to have a good knowledge about the game. How does the game works? So you have to know the game and have good ideas for your team. Then you have to lead good training sessions, because it doesn't matter if how good you are in understanding the game, if in the training process you can't prove that. And the third area that I think it's very important, it's the leadership. Okay, so if you don't have leadership, good ideas for your team, and a good training process, I don't think you can ever be a good and successful coach. I think these are the main areas that the coach has to have a huge impact.
Well, before we go to the reasons why are the Portuguese coaches so successful, I believe that one of that reasons is about the people who influenced the Portuguese soccer coaches in the past. So, who do you think that were the main influencers of the Portuguese soccer coaches, of the today's soccer coaches?
I think Mourinho had a huge influence in all of us. When I say all of us, all the coaches. Actually, there were two different eras of his career. When he came out first, and he had that huge impact because he won the Champions League with Oporto, and the Portuguese team who didn't have the same quality players that all the other teams in Champions League had. But I was saying that in that area he was a very tactical, a very attacking coach, and now he's in a different area. But I think he's the main influencer of all Portuguese coaches, because at that time he proved not just the importance of the tactics, but also the leadership and the communication. I remember when he came out first, there I think he was almost like the father of the mental games, and he had lots of influence both in the way their teams played, but also the way he performed in the press conferences. So he made a huge impact, and I think he influenced all of us. And when I say all of us, it's the ones who believe more in an attacking game, and the others who believe more in a defensive way of play.
You were talking about Mourinho, and talk a bit about the Mourinho effect, because I usually say that when we have a Portuguese coach that goes abroad to a specific market, if he does a good job, he will open up the market. So, how important was this Mourinho effect in spreading the word about the competence of the Portuguese coach, Pedro?
Very, very important. I think he's the most of us football coaches have a lot to thank to Mourinho, because the way the world looks at Portuguese coaches now, it's all about Mourinho's success. He opened the door to lots of Portuguese coaches, and even the ones who stay here in Portugal, they got a lot of credit, because Mourinho did that for the Portuguese coaches. And he did that because he proved not just he could win here in Oporto, but when he went to Chelsea and to Inter Milan, he did wonderful jobs, successful jobs. He won Champions League, he won lots of national leagues. I think besides Guardiola, he's the one who have more trophies. So like I said before, all of us Portuguese coaches have a lot to thank to Mourinho. He opened the doors of the world for us.
Now, okay, we talk about Mourinho. We can talk about many other coaches, but why is the success of the Portuguese football coach global? Why are the Portuguese coaches successful everywhere in the world? Well, for instance, in China, as you know, many countries in Europe, now in Brazil. What do you believe that are the main characteristics of these Portuguese coaches that allow them to be successful in different countries, Pedro?
Well, we have our own methodology that now is being studied all over the world, but Portugal created the tactical periodization, and it's a way we have this thing when we train, when we prepare our training sessions, we prepare them by thinking in the match and the things we want to happen in the match. Okay, a few years ago, training was physical and maintain your physical form, and Portuguese coaches came and changed that and prepared the team in a tactical way. So it's much about our methodology, and of course we have a lot of knowledge about the game, about the way our teams should play, and we have good ideas, and we in the training process we can put them to work. And I think that's the main reason why Portuguese coaches are so successful: the way we look at the match and the way how we look at the training sessions.
Yeah. Now let's talk about specifically about the case Jorge Jesus in Flamengo. I'm aware that you recently done a video that everybody in Brazil started commenting. You were analyzing the match of Flamengo. My question is, and I can also tell to our community that soon we'll be having a live webinar with Pedro about the reason of this success. We will shortly launch it. Will be in Portuguese, I'm afraid. But in your opinion, what is he doing, Jorge Jesus, different from the rest of the Brazilian coaches, Pedro?
Well, my opinion about the Brazilian league, it's not the best. Okay, so they got the best talents in terms of what is a player, an individual. They are one of the best leagues, but the teams aren't so developed in a tactical way. So I think that's the main difference, is because Jorge Jesus is known as a coach who gives lots of importance and credit to the tactical way of the match, and he went to a league that it's not so developed in that way. So I think this impact wasn't unexpected, because when you put together a coach who can make his teams play in a collective way, and you give him talent, you combine the both things, the good players and a good tactic and a good way of play. And when you have that playing in a league that just has good players, but the teams aren't real teams, are players who perform, who play by themselves without having common principles, I think the impact was expected, and he's proving. I think he's proving a lot of points to the Brazilian people. Actually, the video that you spoke about, it was real funny, because lots of people in Brazil, even not the coaches but the public, they, when they saw the video, most of the comments said that, oh my God, we are so far away from what they do in Europe, and I think that is true. It is right. Brazil, in a tactical way, it's still very far away from what we are doing in the best teams in Europe. And when you have a coach that gives you the common principles to the team, and has good talents as individual, that this is the result.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you very much, Pedro. Before we finish this conversation, I would like to know a bit more about your plans for the future. I'm aware that now you are working in the Portuguese Football Federation TV station, and also with Stellar Group. But is it your plan to go back on the pitch soon, to be a coach again? What are your plans, Pedro?
Well, actually, I'm happy now, so I don't make too many plans for the future. I'm happy now, but of course, if something comes up, I'll be thrilled to analyze if it's good for me. So actually, I don't know how this will go from here, but I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm doing, both in the programs in the TV and scouting for the Stellar Group and the analysis in the blog. So today I don't feel like I'm missing something without being in the pitch. But of course, if something happens in that area, I'm here to consider it.
Sure, Pedro. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure that we will be talking about you soon again with this webinar that we are planning to do. Thank you once again for your time, and see you soon, Pedro. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.